The night side of the mining world was always quiet. No wind, no birds, only the slow hum of machines that dug deep into rock and ice. Above the broken horizon, a pale star burned cold, casting long shadows across the jagged ground. An alien patrol. Ship moved low across the surface. Its hull was scratched, its engines loud, but its crew had done this route for years. They expected nothing unusual. Inside the ship, Captain Rellan leaned forward in his chair. His eyes glowed faintly, as all his kind did in the dark. "Another wasted sweep," he muttered. "Always the same. Empty tunnels, dead stone, no threats." The younger crew members laughed. They were bored. Mining patrol was the dullest job in the sector. No pirates came here, no smugglers dared. Who would waste time on a dead rock like this? But then the scanner began to beep. The sound was sharp, fast, urgent. The crew turned. The signal came from the deep valley below. A container, buried under collapsed stone. Cargo. Raylan frowned. On this world. Impossible. The patrol. Ship circled lower. Dust rose from the engines. Rocks tumbled down the slopes. The container lay half buried, its surface scorched. Old, damaged, but still sealed. No markings, no ownership tags. Just a cold, silent box. The younger crew leaned closer to the scanner. "Captain, there's movement inside." Rellan's eyes narrowed. "Movement? How?" For a long moment no one spoke. They all listened. The scanner hissed with static, but faintly beneath it came another sound. Thump, thump, thump. Something or someone was alive inside that container. The crew shifted nervously. One muttered, "Could be smugglers' contraband." Another whispered, "Or a trap." "Pirates sometime." Rellan raised a hand. "Quiet. Prepare the clamps. We bring it aboard." The ship's arms locked onto the container and hauled it into the cargo bay. Metal screeched against metal as the heavy box settled onto the deck. Dust and ash spilled across the floor. The crew gathered around. No one wanted to touch it first. The container was dented and scorched, but its lock was still active. The indicator. Light flashed weakly, as if struggling to keep power. Rellan stepped forward. His voice was steady but low. "Open it." The technician obeyed, tapping in override codes. Sparks jumped from the old lock. The smell of burnt wires filled the air. Then, with a groan, the seal broke. The door opened. Silence. Darkness inside. Then, a sound. A small, weak cry. Everyone froze. The technician's hands shook. He lifted a light and shone it inside. What they saw made every alien heart stop. Children. Human children. Curled together in the dark. Pale, thin, frightened. Their small eyes winced against the sudden light. Some had tears on their cheeks. One reached up with trembling fingers, as if begging for help. The crew staggered back in shock. No one spoke. Their breathing grew heavy, their eyes wide. Humans. Of all the species in the galaxy, humans were the one you never touched, the one you never provoked. They were new to the stars, but they had earned a reputation already. Fierce, unstoppable when angered, and now someone had caged their children. The captain stepped forward slowly. His hands trembled as he reached toward the open container. "By the stars," he whispered. "Do they even realize what they've done?" The smallest child whimpered. The sound cut through the silence like a blade. The youngest crew member, barely trained, dropped to his knees and tried to comfort the child. His alien features were strange and sharp, but he softened his voice. "Shh, you're safe now. No more cages, no more dark." But his words did not calm the fear. The children shrank back. Their eyes darted, searching for familiar faces, for voices like their own. One of the older crew muttered, "We should seal it, report it. This is not our problem." Another snapped, "Not our problem? These are humans. Someone stole them. Someone dared to cage them. If humanity learns of this, The galaxy will burn. Relan stood frozen. He knew the truth. The galaxy already feared humans for their strength, their unity, their endless will to survive. But if humans learned their children had been taken, the consequences would be beyond war, beyond reason. Relan clenched his fists. Get them water, food, blankets now. The crew obeyed quickly. Supplies were rushed in. The children ate slowly, carefully, still afraid. Their thin hands trembled as they lifted cups of water. Their eyes, wide and dark, darted between the aliens, unsure if these were friends or more captors. The captain looked down at them and felt shame burn through his chest. He thought of his own hatchlings safe at home. The thought of them locked in a cage. His stomach twisted. He turned to his crew. His voice was low, heavy. Find who did this. Now! The technicians scanned the container. The markings were burned off, but the alloy is not local. This was built in deep space, a lab ship maybe, or an auction transport. The word hung in the air. Auction. The idea was sickening. Alien black markets sold weapons, tech, and rare resources. But children, human children, one crew member spat in disgust. Monsters! Who would dare? But before he finished, the ship's comms crackled. A transmission was incoming, unmarked, scrambled. The captain hesitated, then nodded. Put it through. The screen flickered. A shadowed figure appeared, voice disguised. You found it, didn't you? Return the cargo. It is not yours. Relan's blood ran cold. He growled, Cargo. These are children. The voice hissed. Return them or you will regret this. The screen went black. Silence filled the cargo bay once more. The crew looked at their captain. Fear was in their eyes, but something else too. Anger. Relan turned back to the container. The children were huddled together, staring at him. One child clutched a small broken toy, a reminder of the home stolen from them. The captain's voice was steady now, sharp as a blade. We will not return them. We will protect them, and we will find the ones who dared to do this. The crew straightened. No one argued. The decision was final. But deep inside, every alien aboard that ship felt the same cold fear. They had seen enough of humanity to know, once this truth reached human ears, the stars themselves would shake. And so, in the silent mining system, with frightened children in their care, the alien patrol made a choice that would change the fate of galaxies. They had uncovered a crime too great to hide. They had found the spark that would ignite a storm. The silent discovery was only the beginning. The patrol ship drifted in orbit above the mining world. Inside its cargo bay, the human children slept under blankets, their breathing soft, their faces pale. The crew watched over them in silence. No one dared to speak too loud. It felt wrong, as if a single harsh sound might break them even further. Captain. Relan stood apart, staring at the stars through a viewing port. His thoughts were heavy. He knew the galaxy was dangerous, filled with smugglers, raiders, and worse. But this was something darker. Someone had stolen human children. Someone had dared to put them in cages. It was not only a crime, it was a mistake that could ignite the stars. The Council had to know. Relan turned sharply. Send the message. Encrypted priority. Every Council relay station must hear this. The technician hesitated. Captain, if we broadcast, others will hear too. The ones who want the children back? Relan's voice cut him short. Let them hear. Let the whole galaxy hear. This cannot be hidden. The order was final. The transmission went out. Hours later, across distant systems, signals crackled to life. On a trade station near the core, merchants stopped mid-bargain as the Council emergency channel cut across all screens. The image of human children in cages filled the halls. Gasps spread like fire. On a farming moon, workers dropped their tools when the same broadcast played. Human children, one whispered, shaking his head. Not even raiders sink so low. On the cold decks of a pirate cruiser, even hardened raiders fell silent. Their leader, scarred and brutal, narrowed his eyes. "Fools," he growled. "Do they not know what humans will do when they learn this?" And on Earth itself, though the broadcast was not meant for them, fragments of the signal leaked through. Analysts caught it. Military command reviewed it. A single word ran like a storm through human ranks. Children. Back on the council world, uproar shook the chambers. The great hall was a vast dome of crystal and steel, filled with delegates from 100 species. Normally their arguments were about trade, borders and resources, but today was different. Today the hall shook with fury. "You caged human children," one delegate roared, slamming a clawed hand on the table. His voice echoed. "Do you even realize what you've done?" Another stood, feathers bristling. "This is beyond war. You have doomed us all if the humans learn." A reptilian envoy hissed, tail lashing. "It was not my people. We would never—" "Lies," someone shouted. "You profit from black markets. Do not deny it." The chamber filled with shouts, claws, wings, and fists pounding tables. Translation. Systems struggled to keep pace with the flood of rage. At the center, the High Speaker raised his voice. "Order! We will have order!" But order would not come. Not today. Not with human children shown across the stars. Meanwhile, in the patrol, ship's bay, the children began to stir. One small boy sat up, rubbing his eyes. He looked around at the strange alien faces and whimpered. Relon knelt beside him, lowering his voice. "You are safe now. No one will harm you." The boy's eyes filled with tears. "Where's my mom?" he whispered. The captain's heart twisted. He had no answer. He looked at his crew, their faces grim. "We must return them to their people. No delay, no excuses." The technician spoke carefully. "Captain, if we fly to human space with them, the smugglers will follow. They will not let this go." "Let them follow," Relon said coldly. "Let them see what happens when you harm the innocent." In a shadowed sector far away, the smugglers were already meeting. Their leader, a masked figure with burning eyes, slammed a fist against the table. The patrol fools made a broadcast. "The entire galaxy knows," another smuggler snarled. "We can still fix this. Hunt them. Take back the cargo. Destroy the evidence." "The evidence," the leader hissed. "The evidence is alive. Human children. Do you not understand? If the humans learn—" Silence fell over the room. Even the cruelest smugglers shivered. They had seen what humans could do when provoked. Stories traveled fast. Of human soldiers who never gave up, of ships that fought while burning, of colonies rebuilt after ruin, and these were only stories of humans fighting for survival. What would they do when fighting for their children? The smugglers exchanged nervous glances. None dared to speak. On the patrol ship, the crew gathered in the command room. Relon showed them the latest council message. It was chaos, accusations, panic, no answers. "They will argue for weeks," Relon growled. "While we sit here with children in our hold." One crew member asked quietly, "Should we tell the humans directly?" The room went silent. It was the one choice no one dared suggest out loud. Contacting humans directly could mean war, could mean the galaxy unraveling. But keeping the secret could mean something worse, betrayal. Relon closed his eyes. "Not yet, but soon. If the council fails us, then we go to them." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Hours later, another transmission came. This one not from the council, but from an unknown source. The screen lit up with static, then the shadowed figure appeared again. The voice was low and venomous. "You cannot protect them. You are small, weak. Return the cargo, and this ends." "Oh, quietly. Refuse, and you will all die screaming." The crew stiffened. Rage flared in Relon's chest. He leaned close to the screen. "You call them cargo. They are children, human children. Do you not understand? You have already signed your own death." The voice only hissed back. We fear no human. We control the trade. We own the markets. We own the council. The screen went black. Relan turned to his crew. They have just confessed their crime. The galaxy will see them burn. But deep inside, he knew it would not be that simple. The smugglers were powerful. They had ships, fleets, allies. And the children were the most fragile part of all. On a distant human outpost, the intercepted messages were growing clearer. Analysts gathered around flickering screens. They replayed the image again and again. Cages, children, alien voices shouting in fury. A commander leaned forward, face pale. "Confirm, is it real?" A young officer nodded. "Yes, sir. No doubt. Those are human children. Location unknown." The room fell silent. The commander whispered, "God help whoever did this." Back in the council chamber, the storm raged louder. Some demanded immediate investigation. Others demanded silence. Some wanted to hide the truth from humans. Others wanted to hand over the guilty before it was too late. At last, one voice cut through the uproar. It was Ambassador Threll, an elder alien with scales as dark as night. He rose to his full height, eyes blazing. "You fools argue while the stars burn. Do you not understand? You caged human children. Even if we destroy the smugglers, even if we silence the truth, the humans will know, and when they know, they will come." His voice shook the chamber. Delegates fell silent. For centuries we believed humans were young, naive, but they are not like us. They are more. They endure storms, they rise from ashes, they fight for every inch. And now you have given them a reason to fight for more than survival. You have given them a reason to fight for blood. He slammed a claw on the table. "If humanity rises in wrath, the stars themselves will shake." The hall was silent. No one dared answer. On the patrol ship, Relan stood once more at the viewing port. His eyes were dark. The children slept again, safe for now. But he knew safety was only an illusion. The smugglers were hunting them. The council was breaking. Humanity was listening, and soon the storm would break. He whispered into the dark, not to his crew, not to the council, but to the stars themselves. They caged human children, and the galaxy will pay the price. The human scout ship, Resolute, drifted. In the quiet dark between stars, its hull was scarred from past patrols, its crew hardened by long months away from Earth. They expected another empty run, another quiet watch on the borders. Then the transmission came. It was not meant for them. It was scrambled, raw, half lost, in static, but the words cut through all the same. Human children caged. The bridge fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Captain Mara Vey leaned forward, her jaw tight. She replayed the signal again and again. Each time, the same image flickered on the screen. Small faces, pale and frightened, locked behind bars. The crew stared, their hands clenched into fists. At last, Mara spoke. Her voice was low, steady. "How much did we intercept?" The comms officer swallowed hard. "Enough, Captain. The aliens, they're furious. Some are shouting, others trying to cover it up. But it's real. It's happening." The navigator whispered, "Children. Our children." The words echoed in the silence. Mara closed her eyes. She remembered her own sister's children back home, laughing in bright sunlight. The thought of them trapped in cages in the dark. Her chest burned with rage. She turned sharply. "Record everything, every second, every voice. We take this home." But the choice was not so simple. Hours later, in the officer's wardroom, the crew gathered around a glowing table. The intercepted files played on a loop, the alien patrol discovering the container, the council chamber exploding in fury, the shadowed smugglers threatening revenge. The crew's faces were grim. "We can't just sit on this," one officer said. We have to tell Earth, now. Another shook his head. If we send it raw, panic will spread. Billions will scream for war before we even know who's guilty. War? The navigator snapped. War is already coming. You cage our children. You light the fuse. Voices rose. Anger, fear, desperation. The wardroom filled with heated words. At last, Mara slammed her hand down. The table shuddered. Silence fell. She looked at each of them in turn, her eyes hard. Listen to me. Humanity has faced hunger, fire, storms, and endless war. We survived it all. But this, she gestured at the looping image of the cages. This is different. This is personal. Her voice dropped lower, but sharper. The council will argue, the smugglers will threaten, but we are not politicians. We are not cowards. We are defenders. The crew straightened. Every word hit deep. Mara leaned closer. We will not wait. We will not beg for permission. We will act. We bring them home. The decision was made, but even as they spoke, the galaxy shifted. On Earth, the intercepted fragments had already reached command. Generals, admirals, and ministers gathered in a sealed chamber beneath the surface. Screens showed the same haunting images, cages, tears, small hands gripping bars. The room was quiet, too quiet. One general cleared his throat. If this spreads uncontrolled, we face total war. Another answered coldly, if we hide it, we lose the trust of our people. Either way, the galaxy changes tonight. The Prime Minister, an older man with tired eyes, stared at the screen for a long time. His voice was a whisper. Children. Our children. He turned to the generals. What are the options? Limited strike, one said. Find the smugglers. Destroy them. Recover the children if possible. Or full declaration, another growled. Show the galaxy that humanity will not forgive. Not this. Never this. The room trembled with the weight of the choice. At last, the Prime Minister spoke. No declaration yet. Not until we know where they are. But prepare everything, every ship, every soldier. When the time comes, we will strike. The generals saluted. The order was clear. Back on the Resolute, Captain Mara had already begun planning. She stood before a star map, red lines drawn across sectors. The transmission shows the patrol ship. If we can find them, we find the children. The navigator frowned. Captain, that means flying deep into alien council space. No clearance, no backup. Mara's eyes burned. Do you see another choice? The silence said everything. That night, the crew barely slept. Some wrote messages home, though they knew the transmissions would never be sent. Others sharpened their weapons, checked their armor, and stared out at the endless dark. They all felt it, the weight, the fury, the storm rising in their blood. When morning cycle came, Mara stood on the bridge, her voice calm but iron strong. Set course. We find them, we bring them back. The ship turned, engines roaring, the stars stretched into lines. The hunt began, but in the shadows of space, others were already watching. A smuggler frigate picked up the Resolute's trail. Its captain, a scarred alien with eyes like cold fire, sneered. The humans are moving, they know. His second hissed, should we strike now? The captain shook his head slowly. No. Let them run deeper. Let them see the cage with their own eyes. Then we break them. The frigate followed, silent as a predator in the dark. Meanwhile, on the alien patrol ship that had found the children, fear was growing. Rellan watched the news feeds. Entire systems were in uproar. Trade routes frozen. Outposts rioting. Everywhere, the same words were whispered. Human children. Caged. He turned to his crew. It spreads faster than fire. The humans will know soon. The technician's voice trembled. Captain, when they come, will they see us as allies or as part of the crime? Rellan's jaw tightened. That depends on what we do next. The children, though fed and warm, were still silent most of the time. They clung to each other, eyes wide, watching every movement of the crew. One little girl, braver than the rest, looked up at Rellan and whispered, "Are you going to take us home?" The alien captain froze. For a long moment he could not answer. Then he knelt down, meeting her eyes. His voice was rough but steady. "Yes, I will take you home. Even if the stars burn, I will take you home." Her small fingers clutched his hand, and in that moment, Rellan knew there was no turning back. Back on Earth, the Prime Minister's Council debated through the night. Some wanted to hold back, fearing a war humanity was not ready for. Others demanded blood, demanded a strike so fierce it would echo for centuries. But one thing was certain: the humans would not forgive. In military barracks, soldiers sharpened blades and polished rifles, whispering to each other. "They took our children. They put them in cages. Do they think we will forget?" In cities, civilians caught fragments of the leaked broadcast. Rumors spread faster than officials could silence them. Crowds gathered, shouting, fists raised. The storm was already here. Aboard the Resolute, the crew sat in silence as the ship cut through the dark. Each of them knew the risk. They might not return, they might not survive, but none turned back. Mara stood at the front of the bridge, her voice carried across the silent crew. "They caged our children. We do not wait for orders. We do not wait for debate. We act, because if we do not, then who are we?" The crew's answer was wordless but powerful. Hands tightened on controls, eyes hardened, every heart beat with the same vow. They would find the children. They would bring them home, no matter the cost. And far away, across the void, the smugglers prepared their trap. Their ships gathered in silent formation, hidden in the shadows of a dying star. The leader's voice hissed across comms. "The humans are coming. Let them. When they arrive, they will learn what it means to challenge us." But deep down, even the smugglers felt the tremor of fear, because they knew the truth. Humans were not like other species, and when they fought for their children, they would never stop. Far from the council chambers and human patrols, in the cold silence between stars, a hidden station floated near the edge of a dead nebula. Its hull was black, jagged, and scarred. No beacon marked it. No signal escaped. It was a place built for secrets. Inside, shadows ruled. The station's halls were narrow and cold. The air smelled of metal and chemicals. Lights flickered overhead, casting long shapes that seemed to move on their own. Here, the smugglers had their true home. Here, the ones who had taken the human. Children gathered. In the main chamber, leaders sat around a low table. Some wore masks, some wore scars. All of them carried the same cold hunger in their eyes. They were not traders, not explorers. They were hunters of the weak, dealers of flesh and fear. The leader, a tall figure with a voice like broken stone, spoke first. "The council rages, the humans whisper, the stars tremble, all because of a single mistake." Another smuggler growled. "It was not a mistake. It was an opportunity. The humans are strong, too strong. Their bodies heal fast, their minds resist breaking. We only wanted to learn why." The leader's eyes narrowed. "You speak of learning, but the galaxy speaks of cages. Do you not see? Your experiments are fire. Fire spreads. Now we are all in danger." One of the masked figures leaned forward. "And yet, the fire can be used. Do you not understand? We have something no one else has. Proof of what humans truly are. If we master it, we control the future. Every species will pay for what only we can offer." Whispers filled the chamber. Some nodded, some shifted uneasily. At last the leader raised a hand. The room fell silent. "Then show us," he said. Deep within the station, a door hissed open. Guards led the smugglers down into a hidden wing. The walls here were colder, the lights dimmer. Strange machines lined the corridors, humming with cruel purpose. At the end of the hall, a chamber opened into a laboratory. Tanks filled the room, glowing with pale light. Inside floated human figures, grown soldiers, taken from raids long past. They were alive, but not free. Tubes fed into their veins. Wires covered their skin. Their eyes were closed, their faces trapped in restless dreams. One smuggler whispered, "By the stars." A scientist stepped forward, his voice eager. "We tested their limits, strength, pain, endurance. Humans survive more than any other. Race, break their bones, they heal. Poison their blood, they fight it. Starve them, and they still endure. Even their children." He trailed off, smiling faintly. The leader's eyes hardened. "Children?" The scientist pointed to the far wall. There, in small cells, were more cages, not filled with the missing children. They were still aboard Relland's patrol ship, but with others. The smugglers had stolen before. Infants, small ones, taken from colonies that no one had noticed. The smugglers stared in silence. The children inside looked up weakly, their eyes wide with fear. The scientist's voice lowered. "Even in the young ones, there is something unbreakable. We burned, we froze, we cut, and still they endure. They learn, they adapt, they never surrender. That is what makes humans dangerous. That is why they must be understood." The leader's face darkened. "No, that is why they must be feared." In another room, more evidence waited. Holograms lit the walls, showing files stolen from human archives. Battles, wars, soldiers fighting with broken weapons. Colonies rising from ash after devastation. The smugglers watched, their eyes growing colder with every image. "They do not fall," the scientist whispered. "Where others collapse, they rise again. Where others flee, they fight. Humanity is not the strongest race, not the fastest, not the cleverest, but they are the most dangerous, because they will never stop." The leader's claws dug into the table. "And you thought caging their children was wise?" The scientist flinched. "We only wanted to see if the fire burned in the young, as it does in the old." One smuggler snarled. "You fool! Now the fire burns across the stars." Back in the main chamber, the smugglers argued. Some demanded the children be returned, quietly, before the humans came. Others wanted to double down, to use the children as leverage. Still others wanted them destroyed, to erase the evidence before it was too late. The debate grew louder, harsher. Voices clashed like steel. At last, the leader slammed a fist down. The table cracked. "Enough!" His voice shook the chamber. "You caged human children. You brought their wrath upon us. Now we face a choice, hide or fight." The room fell, silent. Slowly, a masked smuggler leaned forward. "If we fight, we must fight with everything. Humans will not forgive. They will not forget. So we do not give them the chance. We destroy every ship that comes. We make the galaxy fear us more than it fears them." Another shook his head. "Madness. You cannot destroy what does not stop. They will come, and they will keep coming, until nothing is left." The leader looked around the room. He saw fear in every eye, but greed too. Fear of the humans. Greed for the power they might hold. His voice dropped low. "Then we build the trap. When the humans arrive, we will show them their weakness, and we will break them." Far away, on the Resolute, Captain Mara stared at the star map. They were closing in. Every intercepted signal, every fragment of data, pointed to one sector. The nebula, she could feel it. The truth was there. The children were there. But in her gut, she felt something else too. A trap. On the alien patrol ship, Captain Relland also studied the feeds. He had intercepted whispers of the smugglers' station. His heart burned when he heard the word experiments. His claws dug into the console. He turned to his crew. They think humans can be broken. They think they are just another race. Fools, they do not understand. No cage holds a human for long. The technician looked at him nervously. Captain, when the humans arrive, will they see us as enemies or allies? Rellan stared at the stars. That depends on what we do when the storm comes. Back in the smuggler station, the children in cages stirred. Some cried. Some whispered for mothers, who were light years away. But even in their fear, there was something in their eyes, something unbroken. One guard spat at them. "You are nothing. You are weak. Soon you will learn." But when he turned away, the smallest boy clenched his fists. His voice was tiny but fierce. "We are not weak." The guard froze, unsettled. The shadows of conspiracy deepened. Plans formed in silence. Armies shifted in the dark. The galaxy held its breath, and far across the stars, humanity prepared. Because the truth was spreading. Because whispers had become roars. Because once humans knew their children were caged, nothing in the galaxy could stop what came next. The great council chamber of Varthis Prime was unlike any other hall in the galaxy. It was carved into the heart of a living crystal mountain, its walls glowing faintly with inner light. Hundreds of banners hung high, each marked with the colors of a different species. A circle of thrones filled the chamber, tier upon tier, so that every voice could be heard and every eye could be seen. But today, no banners mattered. No voice spoke with calm. The air was heavy with whispers and fear. The word had spread like fire across the stars. Human children had been caged. Today, rumor had reached every world. Merchants spoke of it in hushed tones. Soldiers clenched their jaws at the thought. Parents of every species pulled their young closer. It was not just a crime. It was an insult. It was a danger to them all. And now, the council waited. At the center stood the envoy. His name was Kieran of the Tarvel. His kind were tall, armored in scales of dark silver, their faces sharp and hawk-like, their voices like thunder. Kieran had served the council for 50 years. He had seen wars come and fade. He had watched species rise and fall. But never had he looked so enraged. The council waited for him to speak. Kieran did not bow. He did not greet. He did not honor the traditions. He slammed his clawed fist against the crystal floor. The sound cracked through the chamber like a strike of lightning. "You caged human children," his voice roared, shaking the walls. His eyes burned with fury as he swept his gaze across the gathered leaders. "Do you even realize what you have done?" The chamber fell silent, not a whisper, not a cough, only the echo of his words rolling through the air like distant thunder. One elder, her skin pale and thin, spoke nervously. "Envoy Kieran, please, these are only reports, perhaps exaggerated, perhaps false." Kieran's wings snapped open in rage. His voice cut her off like a blade. "False? Exaggerated? Do you think the cries of children are lies? Do you think cages build themselves? The truth is before us. Human children were taken, they were chained, and still you whisper as if this is a rumor." He stepped forward, claws scraping sparks from the floor. His voice grew darker. "You sit in your high seats and pretend not to see. But I tell you this, the humans will see, and when they do, the stars themselves will burn." The words struck deep. Many in the chamber shifted uneasily. Some lowered their eyes. Others clenched their jaws, remembering their own history with humanity. Kieran pointed one claw at the council. "You forget who they are. You forget what they are. Humans are not like us. They are not bound by fear. They are not broken by chains. They are fire given flesh. They are storms given voice. And you dared to place their children in cages." He slammed his fist again. The crystal floor cracked. Another voice rose from the seats. a counselor from the Zadrith, whose people had long mistrusted humans. His voice was sharp, cold. "Envoy, you speak as if humanity is a god, but they are flesh like us. They bleed, they die. Perhaps this will remind them of their place." The chamber gasped. Kiran turned slowly, his eyes narrowing into slits of pure fury. He marched up the steps, towering over the Zadrith. His voice dropped low, a growl that carried across the chamber. "Remind them of their place. Their place is not in chains. Their place is not in cages. Do you wish to remind them of their fire? Then pray the fire does not consume you first." The Zadrith shrank back. He could not hold Kiran's gaze. Kiran turned again, facing the entire council. His voice rose once more, carrying to every ear, every corner. "You think this crime is small? You think it will be forgotten? No. This is not just about humans. This is about every child, every family, every world. If they can cage a human child, then none of us are safe. None." His words shook the hearts of many. Parents in the chamber clutched at the thought of their own children stolen in the night. Soldiers remembered the humans they had fought beside. Their strange courage, their stubborn will. A counselor of the Shalith rose, her long tendrils trembling. "What do you demand of us, Envoy Kiran?" He spread his wings wide. "I demand truth. I demand that every ship be searched, every shadow be hunted, until those who did this are dragged into the light. I demand justice for the children, and I demand that we prepare, because the humans will not wait. They are already coming." The chamber erupted into noise. Voices clashed like storms. "They will attack us all." "No! They will strike only the guilty. We must hide. We must fight." "Silence! Silence!" The Speaker of the Council, old and weary, raised his hand. Slowly the chamber quieted. His eyes, deep with centuries, turned to Kiran. "Envoy, you speak of human wrath as if it is inevitable." Kiran's face hardened. "It is inevitable." The Speaker frowned. "Then what hope do we have?" Kiran's voice thundered. "Hope lies only in standing beside them. If we hide, they will find us. If we fight them, they will destroy us. But if we stand with them, if we condemn this crime with one voice, then perhaps they will see that not all of us are guilty. Perhaps they will spare those who chose to protect rather than betray." The words settled heavy on every heart. Far above the chamber, in the Watcher's gallery, silent drones recorded every word. They sent the speech across the galaxy into the homes of billions. Citizens listened. Mothers wept. Fathers clenched their fists. Children asked questions their parents could not answer. And across the stars, the humans themselves began to hear. Captain Mara of the Resolute listened to the broadcast with unblinking eyes. Her crew watched in silence as Kiran's roar filled their bridge. "You caged human children. Do you even realize what you've done?" Her hand tightened on the armrest of her chair. She looked at her crew. "We move faster. No delays. They know what was done. Now the galaxy knows. And now we show them what it means to cross humanity." Her crew nodded, grim and ready. On the smuggler station hidden in the nebula, the conspirators listened too. The words reached them heavy as a blade. The scientists sneered. Let them rage. Rage does not break chains. But the leader's eyes were darker. "You are blind. This is not rage alone. This is storm, and when it comes, it will not stop. At our walls, it will sweep across every shadow we hide in." The scientist laughed, nervous and bitter. "Then let the storm come. We will break it." But in his heart, he felt the first cracks of fear. Back in the council chamber, Kiran stood tall. His voice, though softer now, carried just as strong. "I have spoken. Do not say later that you were not warned. When the humans come, you will remember my words." He turned, his wings folding in, his steps heavy. The chamber doors opened with a hiss. He left without bowing, without waiting for thanks. Behind him, the council erupted again, voices clashing in fear and desperation. But his words lingered in the air, like the echo of thunder after lightning. "You caged human children. Do you even realize what you've done? And far across the stars, on every world, in every system, beings repeated the words in whispers, in fear, in awe. The galaxy was no longer silent. The galaxy was waiting, waiting for humanity to arrive, waiting for the storm. The nebula loomed at the edge of the star system like a wound in the sky. Its clouds were black and thick, twisting with silent lightning. For ages, no one had entered it. Too many ships had vanished in its depths. Too many wrecks had drifted out, torn and broken. The nebula was known by a single name whispered in fear, the Grave of Stars. And now it was here that the smugglers hid. Here that the stolen children waited in the shadows of cold steel cages. Here that the galaxy held its breath. But the silence was ending. At the far rim of the system, space itself seemed to ripple. Lights appeared, faint at first, then growing. Not the random glimmers of stars, but steady, sharp, burning lights. They moved together in perfect formation. They grew brighter, closer, until the truth became clear. Human warships had arrived. The first ship emerged from the fold of space like a shadow cutting across the stars. It was long and sharp, its armor black as night, broken only by thin red, lines that pulsed like veins. Its engines glowed with a deep, steady fire. Its guns, huge, silent, waiting, lined its flanks like the teeth of some great beast. Behind it came another, and another, 10 ships, 20, 30, each one bristling with weapons, each one moving with the silence of predators. Their hulls reflected no light, as if they swallowed it whole. They did not drift. They did not waver. They came forward with the slow, terrible grace of a storm. The human fleet had arrived. On the bridge of the lead ship, the Resolute, Captain Mara stood at the center. Her eyes were hard, fixed on the nebula ahead. Around her, her crew worked in silence, their movements sharp and precise. "Fleet status?" she asked. "All ships in formation," her officer replied. "Weapons armed, shields at full, engines steady. We are ready." Mara nodded. Her gaze never left the nebula. She spoke again, her voice cold. "Open channel, broadcast to the system." The comm officer tapped the console. A light blinked green. Mara stepped forward. Her voice, though calm, carried a weight like stone. "To those who hear this, we are the United Terran Fleet. We know what was done. We know our children were taken. Return them now. Return them unharmed, or burn." Her words cut through the void, transmitted on every frequency. Across the system, every station, every ship, every ear heard them. There was no doubt, no hesitation, only a single demand, as sharp as a blade. On the smuggler station, alarms flared. Screens lit with warnings as the human fleet appeared on their scopes. Guards rushed to posts, leaders shouted orders, the scientists turned pale. "They came faster than expected." "Too fast," the leader snarled. "Of course they did. You think humans would wait? You think they would sit while their young suffer? No, they are here to tear us apart." The scientist's hands shook. "Then, what do we do?" The leader's voice was cold. "We hold the children. They are our shield. If humanity attacks, the young will die first." Some of the smugglers flinched. Even among killers and thieves the thought was dark. But no one spoke against it. Fear sealed their throats. Back in the system, the human fleet advanced. Alien ships gathered near the Council's patrols, caught between dread and duty. Some were small frigates, barely armed. Others were cruisers meant for defense. None could match the humans. On the bridge of one alien ship, Captain Rellan stared at the human fleet with awe and terror. His crew whispered around him, voices trembling. "They are like shadows made flesh. Look at their guns, look at their formation. Why are they so silent? Why do they not speak more?" Rellan silenced them with a claw raised. His eyes stayed locked on the fleet. "Because humans do not waste words." They spoke once, They gave warning. The next sound will be fire. In the council chamber, light screens displayed the fleet. Leaders stared in silence. Some trembled, some cursed, some wept. The envoy Kiran stood tall, wings spread wide. "You see," he roared, "I warned you. You caged their children and now they are here. Look at them. Do you not understand? This is not an army. This is judgment." His words struck heavy. No one answered. None could. On the Resolute, the seconds ticked by. "Any response?" Mara asked. "None," the comm officer replied. "Then they choose silence," Mara said. Her voice hardened. "Very well. Prepare strike wings. They have one final chance. If they do not return the children, we go in." The crew nodded. No hesitation, no fear. They had known this moment was coming. Deep inside the nebula, the children sat huddled in their cages. The air was cold. The lights flickered. Some cried softly. Some clutched each other. Some simply stared at the ceiling, too weak to speak. But even here, in the heart of fear, a spark burned. A small boy clenched his fists. His whisper was steady. "They're coming. My people are coming. They won't leave us here." Another child, tears on her face, asked, "How do you know?" The boy's voice was quiet but sure. "Because humans never leave their own behind." The others listened. Some began to believe. Hope, faint but real, flickered among them. Back outside, the human fleet reached the edge of the nebula. Engines slowed. Weapons charged. Captain Mara raised her hand. "Fleet, hold position." The ships froze, silent and still, lined like blades across the stars. Their shadows fell long over the system. Mara's voice filled the comms once more. "This is your last chance. Return them now, or we come." Silence answered. The nebula churned, lightning flashing faintly within. Mara lowered her hand. Her voice was steel. "Strike wings! Launch!" Hatches opened along the human warships. Fighters poured out, small and fast, engines burning white. They spread like a swarm, diving toward the nebula. Their wings cut through the darkness, their formation precise as a blade. The fleet moved behind them, slow and steady. The storm was coming. On the smuggler station, panic erupted. Sirens blared. Guards rushed to weapons. The leader barked orders, trying to form defense lines. "Do not let them breach. Hold the cages. Hold the children," the scientists screamed. "They cannot be stopped. We must flee." The leader struck him down with one blow. "There is no fleeing, only fighting. If we die, we make them bleed for every breath." Alien patrol ships lingered near the nebula's edge, unsure. Some debated firing on the humans. Others whispered of surrender. Captain Relland's claws dug into his chair. One officer asked, "Captain, do we join the humans or stand against them?" Relland's eyes burned. He spoke firmly. "We do not fight them. Not today, not for this. If we fight, we die. If we stand aside, perhaps they will remember." His ship powered down its weapons. Others followed slowly, one by one, until the patrol fleet drifted silent. Watching, waiting, the first human fighters pierced the nebula's clouds. The lightning flashed around them, but their shields held strong. Their scanners lit the dark. Ahead, hidden in the black, the smuggler station came into view. Its weapons powered up. Guns glowed. Turrets swiveled. The smugglers prepared to resist. The human fighters spread out fast as arrows. Their wings shimmered with shield light. The void filled with silence before the first storm. Captain Mara's voice came through the comms, steady and cold. "Children of Earth, today we take back what is ours. No mercy, no retreat. For the children." "For the children," the fleet echoed. And with those words, the storm began. The first blasts of plasma fire lit the nebula, tearing across the dark. Human fighters darted, dodging, firing beams that ripped through turrets. The smugglers' defenses lit up, desperate and wild. Explosions shook the void. The human warships advanced, their guns glowing brighter, ready to unleash. The galaxy held its breath. The humans had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. The nebula was no longer silent. It burned. Bolts of plasma streaked through the black clouds, cutting lines of fire across the void. Explosions flashed like new suns, each one sending shockwaves through the gas and dust. The smugglers' station, once hidden in shadow, now glowed with the fire of battle. The humans had struck. Their fighters swarmed in tight formations, moving like schools of predators. They dove and twisted through enemy fire, unleashing beams of white light that tore through turrets and shields. Every hit was precise, every movement sharp. The smugglers fired back with desperation. Their guns spat, red and green bolts filling the nebula with chaos. Some found their mark, and human fighters burst apart in fire. But for every fighter destroyed, more pressed on. For every life lost, vengeance burned hotter. The storm had begun. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Mara stood tall, her eyes never leaving the tactical screen. Red dots marked enemy ships, blue marked her fleet. The battle filled the screen like a living storm. "Status," she ordered. "First strike wings engaged," her officer replied. "Enemy defenses weakening. Station shields at 60%. "Smuggler reinforcements incoming. 2 destroyers, 1 cruiser." Mara's voice was ice. "Target the cruiser. Break it first. No mercy." The Resolute's guns swiveled. The ship's belly glowed with power, building to a bright core. Then it fired. A lance of energy cut across the void, striking the enemy cruiser's side. Armor peeled back in molten streaks. The ship shuddered, lights flickering. Before it could recover, 2 more human warships fired. The cruiser split in half, breaking apart in silence as fire consumed its core. "Cruiser destroyed," the officer reported. Mara gave no smile, only a nod. "Press the attack." Inside the smuggler station, alarms screamed. Metal shook as blasts struck the hull. The leader roared orders, trying to hold control. "Shields failing, get them back online." "Seal every bulkhead. Do not let them board. Keep the children secure. If we lose them, we lose our shield." The scientist clutched the console, panic in his eyes. "They cannot be stopped. Their fire is endless. They fight like demons." The leader's face twisted. "Then we become demons too." He turned to his second-in-command. "Release the reserve fleet, all of it. Throw them into the fire. If they die, they die. The children will keep us safe long enough to break through." The second hesitated. "And if the humans do not care?" The leader's voice was cold. "Then we kill the children ourselves. Better ashes than prisoners." The scientist gasped. Even for him, those words cut deep. But the leader did not waver. The smugglers' reserve fleet burst from hidden hangars. Dozens of smaller craft, ragged and scarred, but armed and vicious. They charged into the nebula, guns blazing. Human fighters met them head-on. The void lit up with fire. Ships collided in streaks of light. Plasma bolts cut paths through dust. Hulls shattered. Flames burned bright before dying into silence. The humans did not retreat. One fighter squadron broke through the swarm, weaving. Through fire like arrows, they dived straight at the station's weapon banks, unleashing missiles that slammed into the steel. Towers of flame erupted from the hull. "Direct hits," Mara's officer called out. "Keep hitting them," Mara ordered. "Cut their claws, make them bleed." Across the nebula, Captain Relland's patrol ship hovered with the other alien vessels. His crew watched in silence as the humans fought. One officer whispered, "They do not fight like us. Look at them. They lose ships, but they do not falter. They are relentless." Relland nodded slowly. "Now you see why they must never be caged. Now you see why they are feared." The officer's voice shook. "Should we help them?" Relland's claws tightened on the armrest. He stared at the burning nebula. "If we fire, we join the war. If we do nothing, we may survive their judgment. For now, we watch." But even as he said it, his heart clenched. He had seen the cages. He had heard the cries. and each blast of human fire felt like justice. Inside the station, the children huddled together as the walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling, lights flickered. The small boy, the one who whispered of hope, pressed his hands against the bars. His eyes blazed. "They're here," he said. "I told you, they're here." Another child sobbed. "But what if they can't find us?" The boy shook his head. "They will. Humans always find their own." Even in fear, his words gave strength. Even in cages, the spark of defiance burned. The human fleet pressed harder. The Resolute fired again, another lance of energy cutting through the smugglers' destroyer. The ship erupted in flame, scattering debris across the nebula. Human fighters swarmed the wreck, hunting the survivors with ruthless precision. But the smugglers fought back with fury. Hidden mines detonated among the human squadrons, tearing ships apart. A wave of heavy bombers surged from the station, their guns tearing into a human frigate. The frigate's shields collapsed. Its hull cracked. It split in two, fire spilling into the void. On the Resolute, Mara watched as blue lights flickered to red on the tactical screen. A frigate lost, dozens of fighters gone. Her jaw tightened, her voice was steel. "Every loss will be repaid, tenfold. Push harder, break them." The fleet obeyed. The nebula glowed with fire. Ships twisted in deadly dances. Beams cut through the dark. Explosions shook the void. The battle was no longer numbers on a screen. It was chaos, fury, and the raw will to survive. And through it all, the humans pressed forward. The smugglers began to falter. Their ships scattered. Their formations broke. The station shook with every strike. On the bridge, the leader's voice. I cracked with rage. "Hold, hold, damn you! They are only flesh. They bleed!" But even as he shouted, his own ships fell one by one. The scientist whispered, "No, they do not stop. They never stop." Then the humans revealed their final strike. From the belly of the Resolute, massive doors opened. A single ship, larger than any fighter, slid free. Its wings folded, glowing with strange energy. Its hull shimmered with heavy armor. It was no ordinary craft. It was a breacher, built not to fight in space, but to tear through steel walls and land troops inside enemy stations. The breacher engines flared. It shot forward faster than the smugglers could track. Fighters shielded it, cutting down enemy fire. Plasma bolts bounced off its armor. The leader's eyes widened. "No, no, do not let it reach us." But it was too late. The breacher slammed into the station's hull, cutting through metal like paper. Sparks erupted. Alarms screamed. Human soldiers poured from its hatches, armored and armed, their weapons glowing in the dark. The boarding had begun. Captain Mara's eyes hardened as the signal came. "Breacher inside! Ground teams deployed!" Her voice was cold and certain. "Find the children! End the smugglers! No mercy!" The battle outside still raged. Fire tore across the nebula. Ships died one after another. But now, inside the station, the true fight began. Human boots hit steel. Guns roared. The smugglers' last line of defense braced themselves. The void burned. The station shook. And for the first time, the smugglers began to understand. This was not just war. This was judgment. The station shook like a dying beast. Fire rolled through its steel halls. Smoke poured from broken vents. Sirens screamed across every corridor. The once proud fortress of smugglers was now a cage collapsing in on itself, and the humans were inside. Heavy boots pounded the metal. Armored soldiers moved in squads, their weapons glowing with deadly light. Each step was firm, each movement sharp. They spoke little. They fired without hesitation. Smugglers who stood in their path fell within seconds, their weapons useless. Against the storm, the humans had come for blood. Captain Mara stood tall on the bridge of the Resolute. Her eyes stayed fixed on the screens that showed live feeds from the boarding teams. Flames flickered in the images. Soldiers advanced, one room at a time. "Progress?" she asked. "Outer halls cleared," her officer replied. Smugglers retreating deeper, resistance heavy, our teams keep moving. And the children, the officer's voice lowered. No signal yet, but they're here, somewhere inside. Mara's hand clenched into a fist. Then we tear down every wall until we find them. Inside the burning station, the leader roared commands. His voice echoed through the comms. Hold the halls, seal the bulkheads, do not let them through. But fear cracked his words. His smugglers were dying. Too fast. His fleets were gone, his defenses shattered. And yet, the humans pressed on. The scientist trembled by the control panel. His hands shook as alarms flashed red. We cannot stop them. Every barrier falls, every gun silenced. The leader's eyes blazed with rage. Then we make them pay. In screams, if they want the children so badly, they will take them from our dead hands. Deep within the prison wing, the children huddled in silence. The walls trembled with each blast. The air was hot with smoke. The small boy pressed his face to the bars. His heart raced, but his voice was steady. They're here. I know it. The others stared at him, wide-eyed. How can you know? One whispered. He closed his eyes. Because humans never leave their own behind, not ever. Outside the cell, smugglers rushed past, shouting orders, dragging crates, sealing doors. The children watched with quiet fear, but hope burned stronger now. Hope was louder than fear. The humans advanced deeper. A squad turned a corner and met a wall of smugglers. Gunfire erupted. Beams of light cut through smoke. The hallway shook with thunder. The air filled with sparks and screams. A soldier at the front raised his shield. Bolts slammed against it, sparking bright. He pushed forward step by step. Behind him, his squad fired in unison. Smugglers fell one after another, their lines breaking. When the last smuggler dropped, silence filled the hall. The squad leader raised his fist. Keep moving, the children are close. The leader of the smugglers watched from a security feed. His rage boiled over. They breach every line. They cut us down like animals. The scientist whispered, Perhaps it is time to surrender. The leader turned on him, eyes burning. Surrender? To them, do you not see? If they find the children, they will hunt us across every star. They will burn every ally we have. No. Better the children die here than live to be there. Banner of revenge. The scientist's face paled. Kill the children, that will damn us all. The leader sneered. We are damned already. The humans pushed on. At last, one squad reached the prison wing. The door was sealed heavy with steel. Explosives were set. Soldiers crouched back. The charge went off. The blast shook the hall, ripping the doors free. Smoke poured into the chamber. The soldiers stormed in, weapons ready. The children gasped, eyes wide, as armored figures filled the doorway. The small boy stepped forward, voice breaking with hope. Humans! The soldier knelt, visor glowing. He extended a hand. His voice was steady, strong. You're safe now. We've come to take you home. The children cried out, relief crashing over them like a wave. They clung to the soldiers, tears running down their faces. For the first time in endless nights, they felt safe. But the danger was not gone. From the shadows, smugglers burst into the chamber. Guns roared. Beams of light seared the walls. Soldiers shielded the children with their bodies, firing back with deadly precision. The room shook with fire and screams. One soldier fell. Another pushed forward, cutting the smugglers down. Within seconds, the fight was over. The chamber filled with silence once more. The squad leader's voice crackled through comms. Children secured, preparing extraction. On the Resolute, Mara's chest tightened with relief, but her voice stayed firm. Protect them, at any cost. The leader of the smugglers saw the feed. His face twisted in fury. They found them, he snarled. They found them. The scientist whispered, It is over. We are finished. The leader's voice was madness. No, not yet. He reached for a control panel. His hand hovered over the detonator. If I cannot keep them, then no one will. The scientist's eyes widened in horror. You would destroy the station? You would kill everyone? The leader's teeth bared. Better ashes than chains. The humans moved quickly. The children were rushed through burning halls, shielded by armored soldiers. Every corner held danger. Every door could hide death. Smugglers fought with desperation, throwing themselves into hopeless battles. But the humans cut through them, steady and unstoppable. Then the comms crackled with warning. Captain, energy spikes across the station. They're arming self-destruct. Mara's voice cut sharp. Pull the teams out. Get the children to the breacher. Move now. The halls shook harder. Explosions ripped through the walls. Fire poured from vents. The station groaned like a dying beast. The squad carrying the children ran. Soldiers formed a shield around them, firing at every threat. The small boy clutched a soldier's hand, running as fast as his legs could carry him. Behind them, entire sections of the station collapsed. Flames swallowed corridors. Steel twisted. The smugglers were not just defeated, they were burning themselves alive. The leader stood in the command chamber, alarms flashing around him. He watched the feeds as his empire died. His smugglers fled, his ships shattered, his station tearing apart. And still, the humans advanced. Still they carried the children away. His face broke into a twisted smile. You will not have them. You will have nothing. He slammed his hand on the detonator. The scientist's scream filled the chamber. No! But it was too late. The core began to overload. A deep hum filled the air, rising higher and higher. The walls shook, the floor split. The station had only minutes left. On the Resolute, Mara's eyes blazed. Get them out! Her fleet moved with fury. Ships dove close, shields flaring, covering the breacher as it prepared to launch. Enemy fire rained, but human guns silenced them one by one. Inside, the squads pushed forward. The breacher loomed. Ahead, its hatch open, engines glowing, soldiers carried the children inside, shielding them from the falling debris. One by one, the children were pulled aboard. The last soldier shoved them in, then turned and fired one final shot at the smugglers, who chased. The enemies fell, silent forever, the hatch sealed. The breacher launched. The station broke apart behind them. Explosions ripped through its core. Fire poured into the nebula. Sections of steel spun into the void. And then, with one final flash, the smuggler station was gone. Ashes in the stars. On the Resolute, the children were carried into safety. Medics rushed forward, wrapping them in blankets, checking every wound. Their eyes were wide, still filled with fear, but also shining with hope. The small boy looked up at the armored soldier, who had held his hand. His voice was quiet but strong. I told them you would come. The soldier knelt, removing his helmet. His face was scarred, his eyes hard, but his voice was gentle. We always come, no matter how far. No matter the cost. The boy smiled through his tears. For the first time in endless nights, he believed in tomorrow. Across the fleet, silence held. Soldiers, officers, captains, all watched as the station burned out of existence. They had won. But the victory was not joy. It was warning. The message was clear. To all smugglers, to all slavers, to all who would dare cage humanity's children, if you touch them, if you harm them, if you lock them away, humanity will come, and they will not stop until you are ash. Captain Rellen's ship hovered on the edge of the nebula. His crew had watched. Everything, the fire, the battle, the destruction. One officer whispered, voice trembling. They saved the children, but look at what they did. Look at how they burned it all. Rellen's eyes stayed fixed on the dying light. His voice was quiet, heavy. This is their truth. This is why they must never be caged. Because when you chain them, when you touch their young, you do not just fight humans. His claws tightened. His voice fell to a whisper. You fight their fury, and no star will hide you. The void was silent once more, But the silence was not peace. It was a silence that carried a warning across the stars. The humans had spoken in fire, their wrath had been written in ashes, and every world that saw it would remember. "You caged. Human children," the stars would whisper, "now you know what you've done."